I know, you have to be really quiet because you don't want to disturb the animals, and it's super important to make sure that we respect that they're not used to sort of being in the company of people.
Absolutely. For them, we are predators, so they're very uncomfortable around us.
So we've got a snowshoe hare, and I know everyone at home, including me, is wondering, why is he not white?
So the subspecies down here actually does not need the white coat. So unfortunately, they don't get as pretty as the other ones. So that's mainly why. This little guy came from Coquitlam. He has a skin infection, as you can see. He doesn't have a whole lot of fur at this moment. We are treating it, and hopefully he will be in the road for recovery.
And what are you feeding him right now?
This is yogurt. It's mainly to help for the gut flora.
So same as people?
Yes, absolutely. Just because, I mean, we try as much as possible to have their diet just as they have it in the wild, but the stress of being in captivity can cause secondary issues in the GI tract.
So you also wanted to point out a very identifying characteristic of snowshoe hares. I mean, obviously, usually they're white in different areas, but it's the feet.
Absolutely. Their feet are huge. They actually use it so they don't sink in the snow, and that's mainly a big characteristic. And you can see a little bit of the white. Like I said, these guys here don't turn fully white, but they do have some white patches.
So such important work that they do here at the Wildlife Rescue Association in Burnaby. By the way, they're always looking for donations. They also, Jody, have everything from spring camps to Earthfest, different activities that they have going on, all to support the great work that they do here. For more details, you can check out their website. Well, first of all, I have to give kudos to our audio department. I just said mere moments ago that we have a bird with pink eye, and he plays Peter Gabriel in Your Eyes. Isn't that good? We have the best department, and you guys are the best out here doing great work. First of all, if someone comes across a bird in distress, what should they be doing?
The first thing they should do is call our wildlife helpline. We have helpline volunteers and staff who will guide you through the situation. We like to get the bird contained if it is containable by putting a towel over top of it and putting it in a quiet, dark box in a nice, safe place.
So let's talk about this house finch.
So we'll commonly get in songbirds that have diseases that are found around bird feeders. And one of the reasons that this happens is because people don't clean their bird feeders as often as they should. So we like to get people to clean their bird feeders with a 1 to 10 bleach solution at least once a week. And a good way to remind yourself to do this is not to fill your bird feeder up all the way. Fill it up about halfway, and that'll remind you to refill it and clean it.
So this bird's got pink eye.
Yeah, this bird has avian conjunctivitis.
Okay. So I can't catch the pink eye.
It's not transferable to people, but it is highly contagious in songbirds. And these are this house finch. It's a flock bird, so they hang out with other house finches very close together and congregate at bird feeders as well.
So it's pretty obvious. I mean, if we see that, I know that viewers at home have been watching, but there's quite a bit of swelling. Like, you can see the swelling quite obviously.
There is quite a lot of swelling, and with this guy, it's more in one eye than the other, but we're treating it as we can, and hopefully he'll make a good recovery.
And then at what point will you release this house finch?
We'll have him on medication and indoors for
10 days.
10 days, yeah. And then after that, we'll move him outdoors, and we'll have him there for at least a week before he's released.
Such great work they do here, Michelle. By the way, they have an open house coming up in April. They've still got space in their spring break program as well. For more details, Michelle, people can check out their website. Yeah, and it's right near Burnaby Lake here in Burnaby, again, at the Wildlife Rescue Association. And you've told me not to make direct eye contact with the swan.
Yeah, so this swan is a trumpeter swan. They're actually the biggest waterfowl native to North America. This one is a second year, so he did his first migration down south. So he's a little stressed around people. He probably hasn't really seen a lot of people in his life. He was found in Abbotsford, and he was being housed in Abbotsford for over a month and a half because of the avian influenza. And now he's at our facility in the last stages of rehabilitation. He was housed in a different facility in Abbotsford, and he's in really great shape.
And you know, he was kind of hissing a little bit. That's because they're kind of just sort of saying, back off, get away from me, right?
Absolutely. They don't tend to, they'll bite, but it's more like, yes, an aggressive posture. They'll, just like cats, they'll fluff up their necks just like he's doing right now, so they look bigger. And they'll definitely hiss to tell you back off.
And you said as they get a bit older too, they're a bit calmer, right?
Yes, and they do change plumage. So they'll be completely white. This guy is actually really small, just because he's so young, and the beak will turn completely black, compared with tundra swans that are the other species we have that have a little bit of yellow on the back of the beaks.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Just so again, hoping for release fairly soon.
Yep.
And so what have you been doing to treat this little guy?
So this one now, like I said, he doesn't really have any injuries at this point. He was a little on the skinny side because of migration, but at this point it's just more make sure that the waterproofing is improving. So he's outside taking long baths and just enjoying eating lots.
That sounds really great, I think, having a long bath, eating lots. Jody, doesn't sound like it's too rough, but I'm sure this guy wants to get back out to into the wild. By the way, if you want to help the Wildlife Rescue Association, check out their website. They always can use donations. They've got an open house coming up in April, and they still have space for their spring break camps. So again, all supporting the great work they do out here in Burnaby. And I have to say, the saw-whet owls are super cute. I mean, do you ever, Anna, just kind of go, oh my gosh, these guys are so cute?
Oh, absolutely. Especially this one. I don't know what's with her, but she's just absolutely adorable. What's most likely hit by a car is in the last stages of recovery. She had a large hematoma on her keel, so pectoral muscle, so we can see that it's healing a little bit. Okay, the skin actually ruptured a little bit, so still gonna take a while until she's releasable, but it's been doing great outside eating, and it's looking good.
You know, and you've been working kind of even in between our segments, working on different birds. How often would you examine, for instance, this saw-whet owl? How many times a day?
It really depends on what medications they need. So we always try to minimize the handling as much as possible because they will get so stressed out.
Let's talk, Janelle, a little bit about some volunteer opportunities. What kinds of things do you need volunteers for?
We're heavily recruiting volunteers right now. We need animal care volunteers to help in clean enclosures and prepare diets for the animals. We really need helpline volunteers. They answer the wildlife hotline for us and get animals into the care center. It's a very important part. And we also need transport volunteers who will be in the field getting animals and bringing them here, like wildlife ambulances.
You know, it's incidentally, we've actually had viewers that, as a result of seeing the segments here at the Wildlife Rescue Association, you probably know who they are, but that have actually become transport volunteers because of the great, important work that you do here. You also need money.
We always need money. In order to feed and get the medications for the animals, we definitely need cash.
And you can always support them, of course, Jody, by coming out to their open house perhaps as well. That's coming up in April, and they still have room for their spring break camps. All those details, as well as how you can get involved with volunteering, you can check out their website. But here's our little saw-whet owl this morning.